So we'll talk about spell tree, and without further ado, uh, let's jump in to establish everything. The character we introduce now is tree, and the condition that the characters cast spells, and for each Leetcode question there's always some of like form of like rulebook, and there's the playout series in the Leetcode question, and the core objective. I think whatever they're trying to do over here, the core objective is to basically find the lowest common ancestor, and pretty much that's it. Yep. We move on to the playout series. So they talk about starting with P equals to 7, and then Q equals to 9. Cool. So just like any traditional binary search algorithm, is that they will ask left or right, and obvious 7 and 9, it belongs to the right side, so therefore we fall under into this category, and then we eventually ask left and right at the same time, and at this current juncture we ask left or right. It then sort of like give us a hint for the future of saying that this item is the item that has the ability to split. So if you are splitting, that means you are considered an item, which I don't know whatever term it is, but this gives a very huge clue. Right? If any character that casts the spell split, this character is really, really important in my opinion, and that's what I get from them, whatever they tell us. So we move on to the playout series. P equals 7, cool. 7 is over here, Q equals 9 over here, lowest common ancestor, the same item over here, 8. So we remember that the character that we actually have over here, which has the spell to be casted, it's split. And I feel that the another character that's very concerned about this split spell, it's lowest common ancestor. What lowest common ancestor is caring about is that if you are able to cast split, that means you can fulfill the criteria to become a LCA, low common ancestor. And the moment we see that over here, we see the potential in this character, we say that this must be the lowest common ancestor, and that's how we actually return back to the system saying that this node, this character is a LCA. So they give us another example, which is saying that, okay, what if my P equals to 7, cool, but my Q is equals to 6. It's an item is right over here, right? So now, cool. We ask left or right, but this time round, dark. The item is this item. You don't need to go left or right. This is the item. So what if this is the item and another item for maybe say from the right category falls under here? And as you can see, the LCA for this part is actually the item of itself. Like P is like Q is holding this value, and the LCA is the value itself. And similarly for P, the LCA will be this item. It can be that way. It can be that way, and with that, you actually send back to the system saying that, oh, my LCA is actually coincidentally an item of myself. I don't know. So sometimes. So I mean, sidetrack a little bit. I just feel that being able to come into the playout series, run through the operations, run through every single thing, I think that is like the most important thing in my impression YouTube videos, in my opinion. And I just like to keep that as the core of what I do in my videos. So whatever of like the other things, maybe say I try to think of like the spell, I try to use the brute force to actually fight against the character. I mean, that itself is also trying to actually go out to the playout series. When we talk about the rulebook for the Leetcode questions and whatnot have you, we are just trying to, summarize our playout series. But at the end of the day, what is the main ingredients? It's the playout series. It's the playout series. So when we actually come back, we study the rulebook. I somehow always end up using the core objective at this, which I think it is. It just fundamentally the core objective to be landing over here like the rulebook, right? There's no specific rules of saying that I only can go left side or right side. So I mean, so certain legal questions in the past, it does prevent us from like doing that, and then we can kind of like link to how our spell, like this is once again a sidetrack. Like in the past, legal questions have certain rules that you can limit your restriction of movements, and coincidentally some of the spells coincides with that, and we can kind of draw links from that say that, oh, the moment we think of this restriction, we can think of the spell and yada yada. But for this question specific, I'll say that there's not much of that, and I believe the spell that we're casting over here, from how I see, it's to do with like it's very not much like the binary search property, where what it's like asking the left right condition base. So I mean, that's the main part. Yeah. I also do feel that it really comes down to what kind of like the character the spells is actually casting, right? We see over here that the moment we take note of like maybe this node, this character is casting the spell split, we take extra note to it and then say that okay, it has a potential to become a LCA, which is what our Leetcode equation is asking, and then we can kind of like coincide. So the moment like maybe say that we talk about this core objective of say that you want to find the lowest common ancestor, you can kind of like link to okay, let's take extra attention towards a character's spell. If it falls under the category of like being able to do this item split, which is what this item coincides to actually do, we know this is the one that we actually want to actually find. So when it comes down to what mechanism required to actually do the checking, we're not so sure about that, but I mean all the more we are so curious to actually explore more Leetcode questions to be able to actually explore onto that, and then eventually be able to solve this puzzle piece that we're seeing. Yeah, and obvious to all of this is that we really want, I mean, us against, yo, what's so good about you character? Like brute force will ask this. Brute force will always try to fight against the character, and I mean, to me, like whatever this guy is doing for binary search, which is having like a conditional base that say go left or right. For brute force, I feel that it falls under the category of like operation Z, where it check this, it check every single node. But when you come to actually talking about say operation Y, you have left or right. It should say go right. That to me, with a condition base, I just feel that your operation time will straight away fall under the category of log n, and for this it will fall under the big O of like n time operation. And with that, I mean Y obviously just big Z out of the water. So I mean yeah, with that yeah, I mean with that everything comes to an end. And on a side note, one last thing is that I just think that there's obviously a lot of gap, okay, in talking about like the time operation and things like this. What to do with this character with the speed spell, and what mechanism are we using to do? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna store the value in the box, in an array, or what so not? Or are we gonna like shift things? Are we gonna action verb or whatnot have you? We don't know. So I think these are the gaps that we're really concerned on how we can actually execute those. So yeah, just looking forward. Everything comes to an end.